If your organization needs to collect complex application forms, such as credit application forms, and you're sick and tired of receiving incomplete or incorrect information in those documents, and all the manual work and copy paste that goes with it, then this video is for you. I will show you how we've transformed a chaotic, manual, and frustrating credit application process into something completely smooth, automating 80% of our clients' internal credit application team's workload. But first, let me give you some context. So our client is a California-based company that sells and rents vehicles in California. As part of the onboarding process, their credit team needs to establish the credit worthiness and risk and purchasing capacity for their customers. To streamline this workflow, their director wanted to automate the credit application process where customers could access the form on their own, verify their identity, and provide all the information without making any mistakes when completing the form. During the first phase of the engagement with our clients, we identified 10 problems that they wanted to address. The very first thing was that the forms were very complex to fill out on mobile devices. If we look at this application form, it's quite scary. Try to fill this out on a mobile device. That's just really difficult. And so the first thing we wanted to do was to create a mobile responsive application form. And so if we look at this application form here, I'm just going to open it in a different tab so that you can actually see what it looks like using a mobile device. And as you can see here, the fields that the clients have to fill out wrap around very nicely the borders of the phone screen. And so that's a mobile responsive form that we've built. It was the very first problem that they wanted to address. And before I forget, if we haven't met before, my name is Sofian Saudi. I used to be a Docusign consultant working for Docusign themselves back in 2019. And in 2020, I decided to found Solusign Consulting, an agency that helps organizations drowning in paperwork streamline their document workflows. If you deal with lots of paperwork, you can save hundreds of hours, maybe even thousands of hours, depending on the size of your company, by automating repetitive tasks such as creating documents, using your CRM data without doing any copy-paste, tracking the status of the signature in your CRM without having to rely on Docusign's email notifications. And when your documents get signed, you can store them automatically in the folders of your choice and database of your choice. You can even rename them the way that you like. And if you're collecting information, like it's the case in this credit application form, we can extract the information entered by your recipients in the form fields and populate that information into any system of your choice. And so that's something you can absolutely do on your own, by yourself, by watching those YouTube videos. But if you don't have the time or capacity to become Docusign expert like we have for the last 6 years, you can schedule a consulting call using the link just down below. During the call, we'll analyze your process and provide you with the best implementation roadmap based on your company's unique needs. But if you're more of a DIY person, you can download our free Docusign automation cheat sheet. It will help you get started with Docusign and automate your workflow on the right foot. You can find the link down below as well. For now, let's go back to how we turn this very complex application process into something seamless for end users and our clients' internal teams. Second problem was the error rate in forms. In the past, our clients was getting incomplete and missing information in the forms, and that was mainly due to the fact that there were different ways that the end user could fill out the form. For example, here, if you're applying as the individual credit type application, then you have to fill out this section of the document as well as this section. But if you're applying with business credit, you have to fill out this section and those two subsections. Business only credit, the last section, and then if you're choosing the last option, you have to fill out most of the form. And so for that, we built conditional logic so that then when the client chooses any of those options, then only the information that's really needed for that specific type of application is being presented. And so we handle this using conditional logic, using a Docusign web form. The next problem was about form abandonment. They were worried that because of the length of the document, if somebody were to access that form and see that, it's too difficult, it takes too long, then they would lose this lead and they wouldn't have any way to follow up with them later. So to solve that problem, we created a pre-Docusign lead capture form, and we created it in JOT form. And so the way this pre-Docusign form works is that, as you can see here, it just asks for the name and email. And in this specific demo, I haven't built the form field for the phone number, but we could ask that. And so each time the lead would access the application form, instead of seeing the huge form with lots of fields, they would first see that form and then click on submit. And by clicking submit, instantly the lead would be created in their CRM, which is Salesforce, with a status called incomplete. And so that would allow the sales team to later on follow up on the application status and give them a call and say, hey, we can see that you've started applying, but you haven't finalized. How can we help you? So that allowed them to capture leads that abandoned the form. The next thing was about tracking status. So as soon as the lead starts, the lead status in the CRM was saved as incomplete. And then later on, the lead status will get updated to signed once they've signed all the documents. And so that really allows them now to be able to know which lead they need to give a call to or send an email to follow up, and which leads have actually gone through the entire process. The next issue was to keep branding consistent because of data security. If you think about the fact that we're using one software, which is JotForm for the lead capture form, and then Docusign for the actual credit application form, they were worried that clients would be concerned around data security. And so this is why we decided to embed each form into our client's website so that everything starts with the same domain URL, so that clients feels that their information is kept safe. Since clients had to provide their social security number, date of birth, bank account information, our client was worried that their own customers would be worried about providing this information online. And so in order to solve that problem, we decided to hide sensitive information on the documents. And so the way this works is, as soon as the end user fills in these details, such as SSN, date of birth, and other personally identifiable information, this information gets obscured by using asterisks. So if you think about the way that you're typing a password and it just hides the actual characters you're typing, this is exactly what will show on the PDF once it's been completed, so that clients don't feel like their bank account details or SSN or date of birth are exposed to people who shouldn't get access. The next concern our client had was they didn't want to waste time having to copy paste information from the completed form into their CRM. And so this is why we created an integration that extracts the data from Docusign and populates the Salesforce fields inside of the CRM so that there's no copy paste needed in the workflow. And the same thing goes for the actual file, the PDF document. Once it's been signed, they didn't want to have to rename the PDF. They didn't want to have to find the right folder and upload the PDF manually. And so this is why we integrated a step where when the form is completed, then the document gets attached to the CRM and the document PDF also gets renamed without lifting a finger. The next issue was that sometimes, depending on the application type, the applicant could bring a co-applicant. So that's why we've added a prompt inside of the Docusign web form that allows people to bring in another application. So for example, here, if they choose joint credit with another person and click next, then the name and email of the co-applicant is requested, which will then result in sending an envelope to that second signer and prompt them to verify their identity before they can sign the form. That was one of our clients' concern, the risk of fraud. And this is why we used Docusign identity verification. Each time an applicant needs to fill out the form, before they can actually complete the form, they have to take a picture of their driver's license or national ID and take a selfie to confirm that they are actually who they say they are. Now, let me walk you through the actual workflow to see how it works step by step. So the very start of the workflow is where users enter the name and email in the lead capture form. I'm just going to open this in a different tab so you can see exactly how it works. But for the actual end user, everything will happen in the same tab. It's very simple. So I'm now clicking on submit. I've entered my name and email as the main applicants, and I get redirected instantly to Docusign. But what happened in the background is that my name and email got created inside of the CRM in Salesforce with an incomplete status because I haven't submitted the entire application form yet. Now, the next step is for the applicant to choose how they want to apply. And so if they choose join credit with another person, then in this case, they'll be able to bring in this other applicant. So we can just say other applicant. Now the main applicant will just proceed and enter all the information that's required. I'm just going to enter some dummy information for the purpose of this video. And as you can see, the conditional logic asks for more information in case it is needed. So for example, if I said I've been employed by this employer for 2 years plus, then I don't need to provide my previous employment details. But if I choose under 2 years, then I'm being asked to provide my previous employment details. I'm going to click next. Here, the main applicant gets to review the information before they submit the form. And now they're going to be requested to sign the document. And so this is where we are. So the user got redirected to the web form and they filled out the web form. And now they will need to verify their identity. Now they'll click on agree. My passport country is France. I'm going to agree and say got it. I'm now scanning the QR code with my iPhone. So it's now asking me to verify my passport. Now I need to verify liveness. So I just need to take a selfie and the identity has been verified. It's now going to redirect me to the agreement where I can sign. It's very simple. I really can't make a mistake here. And I'm going to click on finish. Now what's going to happen next is that the second signer, so my spouse, is going to receive an email notification asking them to sign the agreement, but also verify their ID. I'm not going to show you the steps, it's exactly the same thing. Signers will receive a confirmation by email along with the PDF attached, and the form data from the PDF will be extracted. So the PDF has now been generated. As you can see, the birth date is hidden. The social security number was hidden as well. And that's the same thing for the main applicant and the co-applicant. Now, I can't show you the next steps because I'm not going to record our client's CRM, obviously, in this demo. But what will happen in the background, as soon as this document is signed, the lead record that was initially created here is going to change from incomplete to completed. And then all the information from the application, so all the data entered in those form fields, is going to be extracted and populated in the CRM. The signed PDF will get attached to the CRM record and renamed with the naming convention of their choice. And then a notification will be posted in Slack, tagging the credit team so they know exactly that they need to act on something. And then a new task is created in the project management system that they used. And in this case, they were using Asana. And that's the end of the flow. And so that's essentially how this client was able to go from a completely manual workflow into something fully automated. If you're looking for something similar, if you have a workflow that takes your team hours and hours and you're looking for a way to automate it, then we can help you with this. You can schedule a call with myself or one of my team members using the link just down below. During the call, we'll map out your process and recommend the best implementation roadmap based on your company's unique needs. I will see you in the next video, and until then, happy signing. Ciao.